best roast beef sandwiches I've ever had. Made fresh every order. Add fries or onion rings dropped in the fryer when ordered, and you have a winning combination. Maverick's Real Roast Beef has a lot more than roast beef, so check out their website, mavericksbeef.com, or check out their restaurant on Lexington in Roseville.
Hi, this is Chad from AM 950. I've been telling you about Snap Construction, the company AM 950 trusts for all roofing and siding needs. Now that spring is here and summer is around the corner, now is a great time to find out why AM 950 trusts Snap Construction. Ryan, the owner, and his team at Snap Construction have been great to work with, and they have enjoyed working with our listeners.
Hi, this is Ryan, owner of Snap Construction. We've absolutely loved working with the listeners at AM 950. What a great group of people and a great radio station. I personally want to thank all the listeners that we've had the opportunity to work with. At Snap Construction, we look forward to working with many more of you when it comes to your roofing, siding, windows, and insulation. Don't just take Chad's word for it. Google Snap Construction, arguably the most well-reviewed roofing, siding, window, and insulation contractor in the Twin Cities metro. We led this community with a lifetime craftsmanship warranty. Don't wait to get a free estimate. Call today, 612-333-SNAP, 612-333-SNAP, or visit us online, snapconstruction.com.
Amy Ruzick with No Place Like Home and Remax Results is proud to sponsor AM 950's booth and all the incredible live broadcasts happening throughout Pride Weekend. Amy believes that real estate is about much more than just houses. As a dedicated agent, she educates, advocates, and gives back. Whether you're buying your very first home, selling your current property, or relocating to Minnesota for a fresh start, Amy offers the personalized guidance you need to find a space that truly fits your life, not just the housing market. With LGBTQ plus rights facing ongoing challenges in so many places across the country, Minnesota stands as a welcoming beacon. Amy is deeply proud to help both new arrivals and lifelong locals find exactly where they truly belong. Experience the difference of working with a dedicated agent who is deeply rooted in the community. Discover more at noplacelikehome.info. At No Place Like Home, Amy works tirelessly for her clients while serving the community she loves.
Moonstone Minneapolis is a queer-owned community-focused gift shop in South Minneapolis centered on curiosity, connection, and self-discovery. Explore astrology, tarot, crystals, herbs, mindfulness, and spiritual practices in a welcoming environment for all backgrounds and experience levels. Located at 3304 East Lake Street in Minneapolis, Moonstone Minneapolis also hosts makers markets, classes, and community events. Learn more at moonstoneMPLS.com and discover a welcoming place to explore with curiosity and respect.
The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host, guest, random reptoid, or chupacabra may not necessarily reflect those of AM 950 Radio, its affiliates, or its sponsors. Now, it's time to step into the unknown. There are things people experience but never talk about. A shadow moving in the corner, flickering of the lights, a disembodied voice. We invite you to talk with us. Share your story, share your experience, because this isn't just your story, this is our story. This is Ghostbox Radio with Greg Bakken.
And this is Ghostbox Radio on AM 950, where every night we talk about the paranormal, ufology, Bigfoot, and so much more. My name is Greg Bakken, and we are coming to you today live from Twin Cities Pride in Loring Park. And boy, how exciting it is to be out here. This is my third year out here doing a live broadcast. And once again, as usual, we're the closer. We are the final show of the live broadcast. And you know what? This is the best way to end Pride, with a little paranormal. And we're going to do that right now. Meanwhile, in Prairie, who has been quiet all day, we have Adam. Adam, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. It's interesting. We're back at the witching hour once again at 4:00 on a Sunday afternoon, like we were years and years ago.
Just how it started, right? That's what it's all about. Also, Adam, meanwhile, next to me at Pride, we have Brett, also been with us.
Hello, hello.
My goodness. We haven't worked together in a while.
No, I think it's been about like 6 minutes or so.
Yeah.
We've been on the same. Yeah. On these shows. Yeah.
I mean, not as a job of putting out multiple fires during the day.
Yes.
Producing your show.
Producing
my show. It's been a while.
Oh yeah, at least a few years since I've done one. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. And now having two producers, it's kind of like, have you ever seen Roger Rabbit? Who Framed Roger Rabbit? It's like Donald Duck and Daffy Duck. It's like the dueling pianos. It's like you two are the dueling producers. So, just you don't know what I'm talking about.
No,
I could see you. I could see it in your face. You have absolutely no. Adam, help me out here. You know.
I'm calling Daffy right away because I like Warner Brothers a lot more than Disney.
There you go. The evil empire. Yeah, absolutely. So before we get too far into things, I do want to thank our sponsors for AM 950's broadcast of Twin Cities Pride. Planned Parenthood believes everyone deserves health care that respects their identity, offering everything from gender-affirming care to telehealth across their 10 Minnesota locations and online at ppncs.org. Once again, that's ppncs.org. I am so excited today because my friend here who's joining us published a new book. We're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about his gifts, his modalities, what he has, and also something I don't think we very rarely talk about is queerness in the paranormal community, queerness in the metaphysical, just spiritual. That I think that I have, I'm just curious about a few things in terms of, just how I see the paranormal community works. I am very happy tonight to have with us with his newest book that just came out, 42 Stories of Life, the Universe, Everything. Sounds like I've heard that before. Author Paul David Stanko. Welcome, Paul. Welcome to Ghostbox Radio.
Thank you, Greg. I'm so excited to be here. And yeah, I think you probably have heard that before. Douglas Adams and Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy was a huge part of my growing up, my youth. And I may have borrowed some ideas, and that really stuck with me. And we'll get into 42 and all that, but that's a big part of my life. So thank you for having me here. I'm excited to be spending some time with you today.
And we're going to talk about how to get the book here in a second, as well as the fact that you are going to be joining me again on, I think it's July 20.
Yeah, that's 22nd, I think. Yes.
22nd. Whatever we don't talk about here, we're going to talk about there, and we're going to maybe expand on some of the stuff we talk about today.
For sure.
So first of all, and I say this because I'm happy you did so. You corrected me yesterday in our messaging, because I said mediumship is what you do, and you're just like, you're stupid, and I don't think that was called for.
Well,
maybe it
call
was.
it like I see it. So what's really interesting, Greg, is that's actually what I started out to do. So I had a reading a number of years ago that healed a space in me that I did not know I had, a wound that was 32 years old. And I said, I want to do that for other people. So I set out on my spiritual quest to actually learn how to be a medium. So that is part of why I started to do this. But what came through instead was the gift of channeling, which is sort of the same, yet completely different. And that's really what my modality focuses on now.
So what is the difference between medium and channeler?
Absolutely. A medium is someone that contacts people that have crossed over. They are the middle person between the living and the dead.
Sure.
Channeling can tap into that energy as well, but generally is higher frequency, more think archetypes, think angels, think guides, think master energy.
Yep.
So it's more broad than just grandma and telling you she loves you. It's more of the universe saying, we love you. You are source energy. Now be like water and change the world kind of stuff. So it's bigger themes and ideas than strictly just mediumship, which is I left my keys in the left-hand drawer of the closet.
And we've done a number of psychic fairs together.
Absolutely.
And so when people are coming to your table and sitting down and they're asking for guidance or whatever, is that what you're getting a lot of messages from? So
I love the way you're phrasing the question. So I'm a tarot card reader. That's how I entered the whole world of metaphysical. And what I discovered was after a while, when I'm pulling a card, I don't pull a typical spread. I just read the cards. And as I was going along, I would be telling my clients, yeah, that's not what this card means. This is what it's actually saying. I was channeling well before I actually began officially channeling with the readings I was doing for people, helping them connect with the messages that would help them find pathways and possibilities forward. That to me was the important thing. And calling it tarot cards, calling it channeling wasn't important. It was just about getting the healing that my clients needed when they came and sat with me.
That makes sense. Now, are you getting spirits coming to you and talking to you, like reaching out to you without like just
So one of my really strong gifts, which is probably why I haven't gone into the mediumship piece, is I can shield really, really well.
Yes.
So I have to actually open up and let down my shields before spirit will come and talk to me. Now, my guides are talking to me, not all the time, but quite a bit of the time. But I also have a normie job, so I need to keep that pretty focused while I'm doing spreadsheets and stuff like that. So I actually open up to allow them to come in. I don't have someone waking up and standing above my bed as a general rule. Has that happened? It has, but that is the extreme exception versus the rule. I open up and allow them and invite them to come in and speak through me versus them just showing up.
And the reason why I'm asking too is because here we're at Twin Cities Pride. There are over 100,000, 200,000 people that are coming through
Yes,
here.
there are.
So
I am shielded very strong.
You did extra duty before you got here?
Yeah, I mean, I have rock stones in my pocket. I carry, shielding spells. I have actually, if you go to my website, pauldavidmusic.net, there is a shielding spell that I use. So I used to manage downtown Minneapolis, Macy's, Dayton's, Marketplace Foods. And I discovered that if I didn't shield, I would come home extremely tired. So I developed this shielding practice, which you can download and listen to actually for free on the website, download for $5. But it is a shielding spell that I use to help repel energy. And that actually keeps me sane and from pulling in other people's energy, because I'm also, as are most people, an empath. And absorbing other people's stuff was a real thing, especially in the working environment and especially in an environment like Pride, where you've got so much energy and such an incredibly diverse group of people together. You can easily take stuff home, energies home that aren't yours, unless you practice some sort of shielding. So yes, I am shielded.
So what would you suggest to some people, and there might be some people here listening at Pride right now, and if you are, come by us. We're in the blue section, booth 104 and 105. But if there's people here, and it doesn't have to be Pride, it could be a Walmart, it could be, any sort of thing that has a lot of people. What should people do just on a very basic level to maybe just shield themselves at least a little bit? Because the number one thing I hear, and I bet you hear it too, is people like, yeah, I go into places and I can't focus. It's like everyone's trying to talk to me. And people don't know that they just need to do that.
The simplest thing to do is just imagine yourself in a bubble. Imagine yourself with energy coming out from your heart and forming a bubble around yourself. Then here's the secret to all of it. Turn that outside of a bubble into a mirror. It will reflect people's energy away. Now, I hear some of you saying that's a load of crap, right? Try it.
Yeah.
Do not believe me because I said it. Practice that and try it and see what happens. It won't stop all the energy, right? This is a super quick version, but it will help you keep your energy to yourself and other people's energy to themselves by that mirroring, that image of the mirroring. The mind is one of our most powerful, if not the most powerful organ we have. And so by envisioning that and having that intention to keep yourself secure, you will. Now, another easy way, get some tourmaline, get some stones, a bracelet, a pocket rock, something that will help absorb that and keep you grounded. That's also a very important piece of this.
And one of the things that I do that over time, because I think it's this stuff is kind of built out of necessity, kind of like what you
absolutely
said. So one thing I run into all the time when I go grocery shopping is that people, it's like I'm a magnet. People with their carts, they keep coming at me. They keep getting in my way. And so I created this sort of like just a mild intention of when I go, and if I forget to do it, they're all over me, but if I do it, it's good. They don't go near me, and I don't want people near me.
So really fun story, Greg. So Marilyn Monroe and Shelley Winters used to be roommates back in the 50s, and Shelley Winters was a bombshell back in the day. They were walking down the street one day, and Shelley said to Marilyn, this is so weird. I'm so used to people, coming all over you, wanting autographs and hounding you, and like no one's saying anything. And Marilyn said, oh, that's because I haven't turned on my Marilyn. She stopped, paused for a second, took a deep breath, and said, there. They walked a few more feet forward, and suddenly everyone was coming towards her. What she did was she turned on her inner light. And so what you can do in addition to this is you can put your light under a bushel, I guess is what some scriptures would say.
Yeah.
You can just dim your light down and put the intention of hiding, and that will also assist in that. That is, again, one of my gifts. I've seen a couple people here at Pride I knew that I wasn't really in the mood to talk to, so I just turned that light right off.
I've been sitting next to Brett for 2 days, and I turned it on.
Fair.
So, I mean, he didn't even know I was here, and that's the way I like it. So.
100%. I'm an introvert, so I feel like my soul is being answered right now.
Isn't it funny that you're an introvert? I've seen you at these fairs. I'm an introvert as well, and we're both at these things. We're just like, you know.
Yeah, I call it a situational extrovert. I mean, you put me on stage, you give me a microphone, and I can do anything.
Yeah.
But when we're done here, I guarantee you I'm going home with my husband, and I'm going to crack a beer and sit on the couch and be quiet. I guarantee that's how I'm going to recover.
How long have you been married?
We've been married 13 years. We'll have been together 20 years this November.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And you just had a birthday.
I did. It was a big one.
Yeah, well, it was a milestone, wasn't it?
It was a milestone. I was 20 for the third time.
Yeah, well, literally.
Yes,
yeah.
Mathematics. Yeah. I don't know. It's a number.
Yeah, exactly. You just keep telling yourself that. I remember when I turned 50. I remember at 49, the day before I turned 50. Things are fine, whatever.
For sure.
I wake up at 50. I'm like, suddenly I'm a countdown clock.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, oh my God, I have 20 years left. Just like, stop it.
Well, I love that. Actually, we talk about that in the book, not to segue to that yet, but there is an idea of looking at your life and looking at it in this number of weeks and figuring out you've got 20 years left. What are you going to do with your life? And that's part of the reason that I'm here doing all of this, because I have a gift to tell. I have a story to tell. I have people to help. And that's what I want to be doing. I want to be of service. That's the most important thing for me.
Right. And you can, and it planned out. And that's the thing that I think a lot of people may not totally understand. The work that you do is in fact a service.
100%. Absolutely. Helping people find pathways and possibilities, which is a great phrase, is a way to help them see that they are the power in their lives. A lot of people don't understand that they are the creator of their environment and they have the power to change it. And so through channeling, through tarot readings, through my book, through my podcast, I'm hoping that message of hope, that message of empowerment gets out there and helps people find those pathways, find those ways to change.
So what I'd like to do is I'd like to go ahead and take our first break. When we come back, I want to talk with you, Paul, about the paranormal space, the metaphysical space, being allowed to be yourself.
Absolutely.
And I'm curious on that because it's something I'm always curious about in that realm. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Ghostbox Radio on AM 950. Greg Bakken here. I've been talking for a while about how spooky, fun, and fascinating the Minneapolis trolley tours are. But now there's big news. The Candlelight Ghost Tours now begin at the historic Pillsbury Club, a beautifully restored haunted mansion once owned by Charles Pillsbury himself. Believe it or not, the interior is nearly 200 years older than the exterior. How is that possible? You'll have to come out and find out. Before or after your tour, stop by the on-site market featuring a curated collection of handmade goods, artisan crafts, and locally inspired treasures. Perfect for picking up a keepsake to remember your haunting adventure. You'll also find exclusive spooky merchandise from Tales of the Crypt and Elvira. Then climb aboard the climate-controlled trolley as we travel through Minneapolis's haunted hotspots, uncovering ghost stories that locals would rather keep buried. The mansion is restored to perfection, and there is no better way to spend an evening. Visit MinneapolisTrolleyTours.com for tickets and more information.
At Planned Parenthood, they believe everyone deserves healthcare that respects their identity and their personal decisions. Whether you need gender-affirming care, STI testing, birth control, or an expert to answer your sexual health questions, they're here for you. They even offer select primary care. Many of Planned Parenthood's services are available by telehealth, or you can visit any of their 10 Minnesota health centers. You can learn more about Planned Parenthood's healthcare, educational programming, and advocacy work at ppncs.org or find them at Twin Cities Pride.
It's that time of year where the weather is getting nice and it's time to get out of the house for some family fun. Lily Putt is open for the season, and you know what that means. Lily Putt is known for its mini golf, go-karts, glow golf, jump pads, kiddie carts, gem mining, and even a new arcade. Lily Putt also has interactive and engaging escape rooms like the Haunted Mansion, the Bunker, or Night of the Wolf. Lily Putt is perfect for parties and group events. Stop by lilyputt.net for more information and hours of operation.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. Our station is located on a marsh, and we do our best not to disturb that environment. So I was thrilled to discover Natural Lawn. Their safer products and soil tests ensure that your lawn will be healthy, lush, and green. I don't even have to worry about bringing my furry friend to the station, thanks to the great care from Natural Lawn. I highly recommend Natural Lawn to keep your lawn beautiful, healthy, without compromising safety and sustainability. More at naturalawn.com.
Love doesn't automatically equal legal protection. Legal documents do. Even with marriage equality, your family may not be protected the way that you think. Who gets your kids if something happens? Will the hospital recognize your partner? And if they can't be there, is your best friend your healthcare backup? That all needs to be in writing. At Schroman Law, we're an all-women firm that sees, honors, and builds bulletproof protection around your family. SchromanLaw.com. That's SCHROMEN law.com.
And welcome back to Ghostbox Radio on AM 950. My name is Greg Bach, and thank you very much for joining us. We are live from Twin Cities Pride in Loring Park. Thank you all very much for joining us. Before we get any further, I just want to let people know, join us this Wednesday, July 1st at Billy's Bar and Grill in Anoka as we do Ghost Stories and Beyond. Join Char Savoy and myself, where we get together monthly to talk about ghosts. We bring in guests. This month, we are talking about patriotic ghosts, that maybe we pick up a spirit that served in the military or in war or something. I always tell my story about Gettysburg and other places. So come on out, $10 to get in. Burgers are half price that night in the basement of Billy's Bar and Grill in Anoka. Also, I just want to say, celebrating Pride Month as a proud AM 950 sponsor, Violet Wine and Spirits offers a welcoming, safe space and a rainbow of delicious drinks at their Northeast Minneapolis location or online at violetwinempls.com. Also, our guest today is Paul David Stanko, and we are going to be talking about his book in a second, 42 Stories of Life, the Universe, and Everything. And Paul, how can people follow you?
They can follow me on socials at pauldavid69. And you can also look at my website, which is pauldavidmusic.net. You'll find music, you'll find spirituality, you'll find my book, you'll find my podcast, you'll find a ton of free stuff. Really cool place to visit and some cool pictures.
Yeah, you want to check it out. And it's I've checked out. So you sent me I think a Christmas song.
Yeah, I wrote this song. Doesn't Feel Like Christmas Without You. Was not feeling like 2 years ago when it was like raining in December.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't a vibe. My mom was gone. My dad's gone. It all happened pre-COVID. We had a friend that was supposed to come over and join us, and just plans just fell through. And I was just feeling a certain way. And so I wrote this Christmas song that is all like incredibly happy and joyful musically, but it's something that people really deal with. And again, like the healing that I do, it's something that we need to work through, is that feeling of it doesn't feel like Christmas because you're not here, but I still have the ornament that means something. I still have all these things. In dealing with that and being able to express it is part of the healing process. So that ties really into what everything else I do as well.
So doing a lot of what to me, paranormal metaphysical stuff is all the same.
Same thing. Yep.
But do you go into that paranormal community realm?
So, my husband is standing out there, like looking at the crowd, and he would agree with you that I absolutely watch all the ghost stuff on television. I am a huge fan. I've got a ghost book in my dresser drawer next to the bed. I have been a huge paranormal fan forever. I just, believe it or not, haven't seen one. Now, my husband has. He saw one in his old house. I owned an old Victorian in East St. Paul. Didn't see any ghosts, but I am very open to it, and I love the paranormal world. I just went a different path down this metaphysical world, which, again, works hand in hand.
So I've watched, and I've had on the show before. I don't know if you're familiar with Ken Boggle. He's also a tarot card reader, as it happens.
Okay, love it.
And he had paranormal. Is one of the only LGBTQ paranormal shows that was on Hulu for really only a season. And and I guess that's what I'm kind of getting at here. Your journey into these areas, working with other practitioners, doing events that you may bring in paranormal people at.
Yeah.
I'm just going to be honest. From my point of view, it always seems more like it's like very male dominated. It doesn't feel like there's a lot for women. It doesn't feel like there's a lot for the LGBTQ plus community as like really having a strong participation in the community. Your experience, you've been now doing this for how long?
Publicly 5 years.
Okay.
Give or take. What's interesting is that the metaphysical community is mostly feminine energy.
Yes.
The paranormal community is mostly masculine energy,
Yes.
but all of it is actually the same. So there's a cosmic balancing going on there. And I think even within the LGBT community, coming out and being who you are is the same sort of thing as being who you are within each of these communities. You just got to boldly do what you do. Be you, boo. If it interests you, follow that. Don't let social norms guide what you think or how you're being. Just simply be you. And if you interest you, then do that. If metaphysical and tarot card readings and channels interest you, then do that. Don't be limited by it. And again, the coming out process in the queer community is sort of the same thing. You got to become comfortable being who you are. And that's sort of what I had to do in this process. I'm also an ordained minister with the Universal Life Church. I've worked in churches for 40 years. And in fact, I'm going to be interim pastoring at Spirit of Hope Methodist Church in Golden Valley in September. And I said to them, you guys, you understand that I'm a tarot card reader and I'm a channel, right? And they said, yep. Now, I did used to work there, so they like me. There is that. But I think all of these things can play together in the same pool because they're all just elements of the same source, which is something we dig in really heavily to in 42 Stories of Life, the Universe, Everything.
I like how you fit that in.
Thank you.
I like that how you fit that in.
That's why I get the big bucks.
That's right. Exactly. You're your own best PR firm.
My only PR firm.
Right. Exactly. So let's talk about 42 Stories of Life, the Universe, Everything. What is this book about?
So this book is a collection of life lessons, 42 of them. And it talks about the metaphysical world, the religious world, the spiritual world, life, death, relationships, creative, conscious creation, empowerment in different vignettes that are wrapped around pop culture, personal references, stories. It's funny, it's irreverent, it's bawdy, it's heresy, it's all the things that a good book should be. I'm very specific in this book that you're not supposed to believe anything I say in this. In fact, it says that in the very first chapter. You're supposed to take these out, these ideas, these concepts, and try them. Some of them will fit, some of them you'll love, some of them you'll hate. There are some that will make people's butts pucker. I can say that on the radio, right?
Well, you just did.
I just did, yeah. So I don't think that's a bad word. But it will. It's going to challenge you. It's going to make you think, but it's going to do it in a way that makes you laugh. Yeah. And it's going to empower you to be the creator of your world that you are born and destined to be. And that's a piece a lot of really touch on. I am all about what I would call empowerment theology, if I have to put it in church words. Yep. That's what this book is about in 42 different lessons.
You a big fan of pop culture?
I'm a huge fan of pop culture.
So this is right up your alley. This is what this was made for you to do it this way.
100%.
So what is the the purpose is obviously for people to read this, but how much of this is for you?
Great question. There are some incredibly personal stories in here. There's versions of my coming out story. There's a whole chapter on when I lost my dog, when Tom and I lost our dog London a few years ago, and it was just heartbreaking. And this is one of those things as a channel and as a paranormal person, I heard in my head, London, which is the dog's name, has decided to go home. And it was heartbreaking for me to know that and still go to the vet and try to do everything from my human side to keep her alive. So it's very personal as well as humorous. There's my most embarrassing human moment when I was in college and kissed a girl on a dance floor for 2 bottles of TJ Swan. And we unpacked that, and it was horrific. It was just not a Paul David moment. So I'm very, very vulnerable in here by telling my humanness to show people that it's okay to be human, that there's still a pathway forward, that it's all part of what makes me who I am, and that empowers me to go out and now do good work, even though not everything I've done has been of my highest self.
Well, okay. So when you're doing that, and when you're writing this, did you come to some sort of conclusion, or just I haven't thought about this for myself for a while, or haven't done this for myself for a while, until you put it down and kind of reminded yourself about certain aspects of you?
So the process was not exactly like that. I had a moment at my day job, and I thought, nope, this is not my path. I need to find a way out. And I'd already written some chapters and some stories. And what I did was January of 2025, I sat down and I'm a little organized. So I created a Gantt chart. I mapped out, I knew it was going to be 42 stories. I knew some of what the stories were. I had 4 chapters written. And then I plotted out a couple chapters each week and made myself a calendar to hold myself accountable. And going through it was the stories evolved and what they were. I didn't know exactly what I was going to talk about. I just know I needed to end up at 42. You got to read the book to find out why. But I then began unpacking the things I've been doing in ministry at churches and in tarot readings and just living my life. And then it all sort of fell in place. Was I doing it for me? Yeah, it was fun to get these stories out. It was fun to explore these memories and to bring healing, because in order to bring healing to yourself, you have to expose the things that we keep hidden to the light and give them forgiveness and let them go. I would say the phrase love and light is what I use in the book.
Yeah.
You've got to let those things go, but you've got to expose them. And the only way to do that is to look at them without fear. Now, were some of these things very embarrassing? For sure, especially that story about the kiss of the TJ Swan. But it was fun to unpack what is TJ Swan. I haven't thought about that since the 80s.
Right.
And unpacking those stories was amazing. And so there's also a companion to this book called Forgiveness, Unity, Courage, and Kindness, which is my podcast, available on all your podcast platforms, where I take this book chapter by chapter and unpack the stories behind the stories. So you're going to get more in depth on each of these concepts we talk about in a 30-minute episode that is even more revealing and even more embarrassing and even more fun to do. Because again, as you are able to play the fool and show everyone else it's okay to be human, people are allowed to be human. They're allowed to be who they are. And that's completely what this book is about. And by the way, this book is going to make some people very angry. Some people in power are very angry, because this is about personal empowerment. This is about you being the creator. This is about you being in charge of your life, and everything, no matter what you do. And this is perfect for Pride, is exactly who and what you should be and who you are.
I mean, I think that's great. And I think, one of the things that you touched on here, which is so important, is, is not even, yes, people in power, but also people every day who use control.
Absolutely.
To try to just run the narrative.
Yeah, they're not going to like this book at all, because this is about you taking control of that and realizing that fear is a tool that people use to manipulate other people. And this is all about releasing. In fact, there's a whole chapter that says, let the fear flow. That's the name of a chapter, where I got to sit with this incredibly embarrassing situation, which I don't talk about in the book, but I do unpack in the podcast. And once I let that fear go, once I accepted my power back, once I let that not have power over me, I became free of that. And that, again, is about empowerment for everyone who reads this book. There's a pathway forward.
How many have you gone through on your podcast so far of this?
So episode 2 aired last Wednesday. Episode 3 will air this Wednesday. I have recorded 11 of them. So they're mapped out through August at the moment.
So, I mean, get the book, first of all, right?
Please.
Right. and then use, these are tools.
Yes.
And they're important.
They are. As if from the heavens.
Yeah,
there was a chime from the heavens agreeing with you, Greg. I think that's amazing.
Hey, this is what Ghostbox is about, right?
I love that.
Yeah,
well, that's just every day for you and I.
Right, exactly.
But the idea is absolutely, this is an empowerment. This is a thing the book will help you, by the way, at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, pauldavidmusic.net. You can get an autographed copy. Be happy to sign one for you. But then go to the podcast to unpack it more. And I'm just going to tell you, it's bawdy. I can't use the language I use on the radio, but the first word is the F-bomb. And we go from there, because I wanted this book to be for the people who know there's more going on than they're aware of. And then they can begin to unpack it from a place of their normalness, because we go to these places and we're told that we're supposed to be holy. We're supposed to be a certain thing. And we're not that. We don't feel that way. And this is that book. This book approaches it from that perspective. So you can be all that you can be. You can be the best version of yourself.
And I can confirm the first word. Let's just put it that way. You know what also I can confirm, Paul?
Yes.
There's no signature in my book.
I think we'll rectify that today. Don't worry.
I appreciate it.
We got it. We'll take care of you. We'll hook
you
up.
I appreciate it. Yeah. And I want to go back to something, because pets are very important to me.
Very much.
Animals. I mean, they're and someday you and I will talk about, because I don't want to bore the audience again, because I talk about it so often, how a psychic medium, Rob Guttrow, he keeps getting messages from my cat Linus.
Yep.
So anyway, but the truth of, look at that over there. Look at little
oh
sweetheart,
my God,
right?
absolutely, just precious.
I know,
precious.
So and if you like dogs, come out to Pride, because there's so many beautiful animals.
So many.
But the idea of your human self and your metaphysical, your channeling self, where it's like they are at odds with each other, but you can't ignore the human self in that situation.
Absolutely. And that's a really important part of this. Is in this book, my lessons say you get to be human in this. You get to make mistakes. You are a spiritual being driving around this bag of bones and meat. So our egos play a part in this, and you have to learn to deal with that and balance it, because both have important messages. The ego is all what keeps you from getting eaten by a saber tiger. Well, there aren't many saber-tooth tigers anymore, but you get the idea. And the soul is the eternal part of you. It has to find a balance. And we talk a lot about that in this book, about how do you find that flipping balance?
Yeah. And that's, it's hard, but you got to be able to find it. And you have, would it be fair to say, like with these stories, you kind of have to do the work as well?
Oh, that's the whole point. This is a workbook.
Yeah.
So the stories are there to help you see it from a different perspective, to help like almost spiritual chiropractic, if you will, to shift the alignment of yourself. But then you've got to do your work. Reading this book isn't going to fix you. That's not the point of it. This is just how some would say I'm not fixed yet, but I'm working on it, work in progress. But this is the tools that I use to help get myself more in alignment with who I know I am called to be. You've got to do the work. That's the point. This is to inspire you to do that very work.
This might be kind of an off question, but I think I have a lot of like wonderful psychic mediums that come on, do 1-question readings, right?
Yep.
Well, every time I have some people who come on, they're asking the same question, and it's like, you got to do the work. What do you tend to get that when you're
yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
Every time.
You know, I have some clients that don't do the work and come back with the same question every time. And it was funny. I was a drum teacher in college, and I remember I had this kid that came to me, and at one point I said to this kid, dude, I'm going to take your parents' money, but you're not practicing, and you're not going to get any better unless you practice. But please hear me. I will still take your money. And I would say the same thing in my psychic readings and tarot and stuff. I will take your money. I mean, I'll work with you, right? I'm going to hopefully inspire you to change. Yeah. But there are people that can't change or won't change. But sometimes they just need that X number of times before they're willing to hear it, because you can't hear what you're ready to hear until you're ready to hear it. I also have clients the opposite that have done amazing work, that have transformed their lives because they chose to do the work. That is only ever the client's choice.
I used to play trombone.
Sure.
And I used to teach elementary kids trombone.
Nice.
I had one, just like you just said, come in every week. It sounded like a foghorn every week.
For sure.
Mary had a little lamb. It was just like,
yes.
And it's like, you get to the point, like, I don't know how to teach you because you're not doing the work. And
right. And how many people do that throughout their whole lives who don't do the work and expect things to be to change? Einstein's definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different outcome. But so many people live their lives that way, and that's what this book is meant to address. And I'm pretty sure we use that quote in there. If not, we for sure use it in the podcast. Forgiveness, unity, courage, and kindness on all your podcast platforms. Just got to get that in there.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead and take our next break. When we come back, we're going to continue talking about 42 stories of life, the universe, and everything.
Sweet.
And have more conversation with Paul David Stanko. You're listening to Ghostbox Radio on AM 950. Greg Bakken here. I've told you about the out-of-the-world roast beef sandwiches at Maverick's Real Roast Beef, but I haven't told you about their Philly steak sandwiches, turkey, bacon, avocado sandwich, BLT, crispy chicken, fish sandwiches, brisket, or pulled pork. Okay, you get the idea. They make a lot of delicious food to the same standard as their famous roast beef sandwiches, and now I'm starving. I'm going to go to Maverick's Real Roast Beef off Lexington and Roseville, and you need to go too. Check out their menu at mavericksbeef.com.
At Planned Parenthood, they believe everyone deserves health care that respects their identity and their personal decisions. Whether you need gender-affirming care, STI testing, birth control, or an expert to answer your sexual health questions, they're here for you. They even offer select primary care. Many of Planned Parenthood services are available by telehealth, or you can visit any of their 10 Minnesota health centers. You can learn more about Planned Parenthood's healthcare, educational programming, and advocacy work at ppncs.org or find them at Twin Cities Pride.
Moonstone Minneapolis is a queer-owned community-focused gift shop in South Minneapolis centered on curiosity, connection, and self-discovery. Explore astrology, tarot, crystals, herbs, mindfulness, and spiritual practices in a welcoming environment for all backgrounds and experience levels. Located at 3304 East Lake Street in Minneapolis, Moonstone Minneapolis also hosts makers markets, classes, and community events. Learn more at moonstoneMPLS.com and discover a welcoming place to explore with curiosity and respect.
Violet Wine and Spirits celebrates Pride Month and is excited to be an AM 950 sponsor at Twin Cities Pride. For Violet, LGBTQ means family, creating community, welcoming into a safe place to be, where all are celebrated. We have a rainbow of wine and spirits and welcome a rainbow of our community. Visit Violet at 2435 Marshall Street, Northeast, Minneapolis. Join in the journey of heart, warmth, and delicious wine and spirits, and learn more at violetwinempls.com.
Greg Bakken here. I've been talking for a while about how spooky, fun, and fascinating the Minneapolis trolley tours are, but now there's big news. The Candlelight Ghost Tours now begin at the historic Pillsbury Club, a beautifully restored haunted mansion once owned by Charles Pillsbury himself. Believe it or not, the interior is nearly 200 years older than the exterior. How is that possible? You'll have to come out and find out. Before or after your tour, stop by the on-site market featuring a curated collection of handmade goods, artisan crafts, and locally inspired treasures. Perfect for picking up a keepsake to remember your haunting adventure. You'll also find exclusive spooky merchandise from Tales of the Crypt and Elvira. Then climb aboard the climate-controlled trolley as we travel through Minneapolis's haunted hotspots, uncovering ghost stories that locals would rather keep buried. The mansion is restored to perfection, and there is no better way to spend an evening. Visit MinneapolisTrolleyTours.com for tickets and more information. And as a proud sponsor of our AM 950 live broadcast at Twin Cities Pride, Amy Ruzick with No Place Like Home at RE/MAX Results combine expert real estate guidance with a deep commitment to advocating for the LGBTQ plus community. Find your place at noplacelikehome.info and join me tomorrow night on Ghostbox Radio with Greg Bakken. We're going to have on John F. Burroughs. He is an author, and we're going to be talking about weaponizing UAPs. What I like to call them is UFOs.
100%.
There is a rule on my show that we never use the term UAP. That's just how it works. Then on Tuesday, we're going to continue talking about UFOs with the book UFO Enigma with John Shortridge. Wednesday, Lynn Monet returns after about 2 years, talking about her most recent book, Omnipresent, Becca Drive, a kind of a horror story from what I've read. And then Thursday, we're going to be doing a replay of The Last Portrait of Lincoln. And then Friday, Ghost of the American Revolution.
Love it.
Right?
Love it. Nice.
But right now, though, it doesn't get any better than this, okay?
Thanks, man.
We got author Paul David Stanko. We are talking about many things, but we're also talking about his newest book, 42 Stories of Life, the Universe, Everything. And why don't you remind all of us your website and where to hear the side podcast that is great for this book.
Absolutely, Greg. My website is pauldavidmusic.net. You'll find music, you'll find books, you'll find spiritual stuff, you'll find free offerings, you'll find meditations and a whole bunch of stuff on there. And you can purchase the book at any bookstore or from the website, even an autographed copy. You can check out my podcast, Forgiveness, Unity, Courage, and Kindness, on every podcast platform. We are unpacking the stories behind the stories of this book with tons of pop culture references, fun stories, and just me riffing for a while. And it's body. It's body. I love it.
Do you have a favorite story that's in the book?
Oh, that's so hard. So actually, yeah, I do. My favorite story is my uncle, my grandmother's brother, is the last man off the Oklahoma at Pearl Harbor.
Oh.
And we talk about his story of what it was like to be bombed by Zeros and watching the Zeros strife all of the people that were in the water, and him breaking down in tears and really coming back from that and living a full life. And that story really is about me remembering that when life does things to me and I'm in my pity party, nobody's joining me in the pity party, I have to think back to that courage that he at Pearl Harbor runs through my veins. And that same courage, the chapter is called, Talk to Your Elders, because we don't know the power that resides in our timelines. If we have those conversations, again, we can heal. And that is a powerful story.
I think that's a really good lesson for people because like you, I had a great uncle who was on Normandy.
Oh, wow.
And so he was in the tank division, and they're on Normandy, and his tank partner was he didn't hear any shelling, so he decided to open up the tank to look out to see what was going on, and he came back in without a head.
Yeah, absolutely.
So and the thing about that is that my great uncle, it was one of the most quietest human beings.
For sure.
And I think kind of what you're getting at here is didn't talk about it.
Right.
He just it happened, and I think he's one of the best human beings I've ever known.
What was he? 21 at the time? 2019?
Yeah.
And that, think about that. These kids were going through this kind of horror and how that shaped them and changed them. And we don't have anything really to relate to. I mean, 9/11, sure, but unless you were there, it's not quite the same as what these people went through. It is powerful and moving. And every time I read that story, I'm hoping to actually be able to get his voice to be on there. He's passed away a couple years ago, but just his stories are so powerful. So regardless, I want to share my Uncle Roy's stories with the world.
I remember talking both with my great uncle and his wife about that very same thing, and he passed away in '97. So like the idea of like if our society ever had something that was on the magnitude of and I think where we are, not to be political, but I think where we are right now is starting to kind of get that direction.
For sure.
Of like, and having to give up stuff and having to like you can't have everything you want because there's a greater thing out there that, you know, whether the country or whatever else. Yep. And I just can't imagine our society, and maybe once we're faced with it, that's different, but
right.
I just can't imagine how that would work.
Well, I think that you actually said that when we're faced with something, we find within ourselves powers that we didn't know we had. We find courage, we find bravery, we find things. And again, some of those stories are touched on in 42 Stories of Life, the Universe, and Everything, where I'm talking about my version of those tales as I lived life and found strength where I didn't know I had some. Lost everything at one point in my life and rebuilt from there. And what does that look like? And the fact that I've done it means that you can do it too. And that's what I want people to take away from this, is that the chance for empowerment, the chance for enlightenment, the chance for hope is all from within each of us. If I can flip and do it, anybody can flip and do it.
Well, and that's just it too, that moment of, is it even self-reflection or whatever, where you are at your lowest, something tends to present itself generally.
Always.
And is that it? Is that what we should be kind of keeping in mind, that it always presents itself?
Yes, that is truly some of, like that. Chapter 2 talks about your intuition and your instinct, and the fact that your angels, guides, and ancestors, are the words that I use, are always around you, guiding you. And when you learn to listen to that, and we go through some tools to teach you how to listen to that, those are the moments. You are never alone. You are always sought after, and you are eternal. You have never not existed. You will never not exist. We unpack that many times in this book. And when you're at those darkest moments, listen, because the voice is there. You are never alone.
And that includes the people who don't believe in any of it.
Absolutely. Most specifically, everyone is all from the same source. It's just different facets of a diamond. And the fact that they don't believe anything this life doesn't mean they weren't a priest the last life. Right? They're working through their stuff as they need to work through their stuff. And we have no right to judge anyone else's journey because we don't know what they're going through. And this is all about that too. Letting everyone do what they need to do as long as no one's getting hurt. Let's be very clear on that. Yep. And let your pride, let your freak flag fly. Be who you are boldly. That's the nature of this. That's the point of all of this. And if everyone were to do that and not be threatened by someone else's version of themselves, what a different world it would be.
I think that's been a theme throughout a lot of the shows that have been broadcasting here over the last 2 days, about where people should just be allowed to live their lives.
Absolutely.
It's none of my business what you and your
Correct.
husband do.
In fact, we've had a chapter on your non-binary soul, which talks about the fact that we are neither male nor female. We are both and neither on a soul level. And the last line of that whole thing is, it's not my business. You know, if you choose to do things that's an amazing chapter, one of my favorite ones to read. I don't know what I can say and can't say on the air, so I'm going to leave that there. It's worth reading, so be sure you pick up your copy at Amazon or Barnes & Noble or pauldavidmusic.net. But it talks about the fact that it's not our business. It's anyone's journey, anyone's choices they make are not our business. Our business is our life, period.
Well, and there's something about that, too, where you get people who are threatened by your lifestyle only because it's different.
It's because they're afraid that they're missing out on something because they're not living themselves. They're not living their life authentically. All of it is based in fear. Anyone who pushes against something is afraid of it. I think it's Shakespeare. The lady doth protest too much, right? They're pushing against it because they're afraid that they're missing out on something that they maybe want deep inside. Look at all the scandals. They're not queer people. They're not drag queens, right?
Right. Well, so is that part of it too, that they see a lifestyle and because they see it makes you happy, that's why they rail against it?
Why should you be happy if I'm not happy? That's the subtext of it. Right. But my answer is, why aren't you both happy? Yeah. We can all be happy doing what we need to do. Don't judge someone else. Just find your joy, find your bliss, whatever that might be for you.
And these people who are, make comments or whatever else, they don't want anybody into their lives. It's that double standard.
It's all fear-based. It's all just fear-based. If they would just be themselves boldly, whatever their truth might be, as long as no one's getting hurt, that would change their world and then change the entire world. If we could all just get along, I think that was the 60s right there.
Right, exactly. Right? And it's amazing, and were we naive before the first Trump administration? Were we naive to think that we were getting along better?
Well, I think that we were naive to think that evil doesn't exist. And again, evil is just a representation of fear. And I think we thought it could never get that bad. What we're seeing and what we've been seeing over this last couple of years, we never thought it would ever go there, because good people don't do those things. But not everyone is good, because many, many, many people are living in their fear. And until we overcome that, until we face our fears, again, there's a chapter in the book that talks about this. Until we let those fears go, we cannot be the people we're called to be. As long as we feel we have the right or need to judge someone else because we are not happy with ourselves, that's the problem. When we learn to be happy with who we are and celebrate ourselves, we're able to change the world.
Now, I forgot where we can get this book.
You can get this book at Amazon. You can get this book at Barnes & Noble, or best place to get it is pauldavidmusic.net, because you can get an autographed copy and sent to your home.
Which mine was sent to my home with no autograph.
It was sent to the radio station.
No, yeah, it was sent to the radio station.
Okay, there you go. So
you made me popular. I was like the first person to get a book there in a while.
That's awesome.
So yeah, no,
I'll sign it for you, Greg. Before I leave, I'll sign it.
I appreciate it. Now, as far as your journey with your gifts,
yeah.
Obviously we say that we have never honed them. We're never at our apex. But how long do you feel it's taken you to get to where you are right now?
All right. So the story is that in 1991, my soulmate was killed in a car accident, and it changed my world. And I began at that moment to discover what is this thing called God, what is life, what is death. And I began learning and reading the Bible, the Quran, the Tao Te Ching, all of the religious books, and try to figure out what this thing is called God. Took some spiritual development courses, had some psychic readings, got connected with my ex that made me understand that I wanted to be a medium. And then back about 5 years ago, I hired a mentor because I was ready to take my journey to the next level. And then we began working through this process. And when I'm a musician, and when I write music, I hear it in my head. And if you're a musician, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I said, I want something in my journey as I'm learning this that helps me do that. And he said, what about tarot? I said, sounds like a great idea. And so I began reading tarot. It wasn't really my intention. And then all of the gifts, to your point, just sort of developed as they went along. I started by reading the cards. In fact, the first deck of cards I had the meanings written on them because I couldn't remember what the cards meant.
Yeah.
And then I evolved to other decks. And I soon learned, I think we talked about this early in the interview, that I wasn't going to get the cards anyway. I was just hearing what I was hearing, which is the opening of the door to being a channel. So all of those things sort of fell out. And then my mentor said, by the way, you're never going to be a tarot card reader anyway. You're going to be a channel. So figure that out. I want you to do an event. And I'm like, okay, I got to figure out what channeling is. And he wasn't the first person to tell me that. That very first reading that connected me with my soulmate told me that I was a channel. So now I had to figure out what that meant. And so then I began studying that and then just did it. And with everything, with all these adventures, the point is just do it. Maybe you'll fail, maybe you won't. But why not approach it with a what if? What if I succeed? What if this becomes the biggest thing ever? Come with that energy and just do life.
I mean, isn't that the end of it right there? You just do life.
Yeah.
You have shirts made up that say that.
Well, I think there's a whole campaign by this tennis shoe company I'm wearing. I think they say just do it.
Well, they say just do it, but I think honestly, just do life. Just do it.
Absolutely. Instead of living your life in fear, instead of being afraid of being who you are, just be you. And that is the premise. If I had to sum up 42 stories of life, the universe, and everything in one sentence, it would be that. Just be you. You do you, boo.
And it's I hate to say it's never been more difficult, and that's why it needs to happen more. We can't lose our own identities.
We can't be afraid of people not allowing us to do that. No one actually no one knows what they're doing. Everyone is making all of this up. We forget that. Every single person on this planet is making all of this up. Insert all my favorite words there that I didn't say on the radio, because if we can embrace that and understand that everyone's making it up, how can we not make it up? Then why don't we have the power to make up our own version of it and just live that?
Absolutely. And I think it's a great message. It's a great message for today as well.
For sure.
I think that's fantastic. We have about a minute and a half left here.
Absolutely.
This is the impossible question. I know you're going to be like, I can't answer this. Is there a story, do you think, in here that's most important for people?
Yeah, I do. I think it's the last chapter, 42. And I think, I don't want to spoil the book by giving it away, but I think that if you read that chapter, it will explain all of this, and you're gonna. So this is all from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and this computer makes this lesson, and it's the answer to life, the universe, everything is 42. And the gist of it was, I don't think you're going to like it when we tell you what it is, but I don't think the question was specific. And so this book is all about unpacking that question. So that last chapter is exactly what it's for.
And one last real quick question. Can this be read out of order, or do you want it read in order?
No, read it out of order. It's all short stories. You can read it on the toilet for all I care. But pick and choose almost, it just let the spirit guide you to which chapter is the more meaningful for you for that day.
That's great. I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to reading this. Now, to avoid being sued by Douglas Adams, did you make it life, the universe, everything, not end everything? So it's just enough difference to be no.
Correct. Yeah, no, you're actually not wrong. In fact, I originally had the forward be so long and thanks for all the fish, but my publisher said that's too close to copyright, too on the nose, so I had to change that. So yes, I'm very careful of that.
Well, Paul, thank you very much. This was fantastic.
Greg, thanks for having me.
Love having you on. We are the last show live from Pride this year. It was a great weekend. Thank you to everyone who came out. We had tons of people coming out to the table. Really appreciate that. Coming up next, Politics Matter. Stick around for Bruce's show. Always insightful. You get a free politics lesson when you listen in. Join me tomorrow night. We have John F. Burroughs. We're going to be talking about weaponizing UAFs. It's going to be fantastic. Everything else, once again, Brett, Mike, Adam, thank you so much. Lori, who's been out here. See you tomorrow.
Hey, Minnesota, it's your favorite sexy liberal. Join me and my fellow cohorts in liberal justice.